This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Unette Gentry. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Welcome to News 25. Thanks for tuning in to KPVM TV and Ace Country Radio. I'm Unette Gentry. It's Thursday, July 9th. Well, the Nye County District Attorney Chris Arabia has now charged Nick Van Alst with murder and armed robbery in connection with an accident and shooting incident that occurred in Pahrump during the early morning hours of June 24th. This initial alleged robbery resulted in gunfire on a residential street and a death. So the DA says Van Alst has been charged with murder in addition to armed robbery. The 20-year-old suspect stands accused of teaming with the deceased, 22-year-old Kyle Bickerstaff of Las Vegas, to steal a pistol from a local person at gunpoint. During the fracas, the person targeted during the robbery was allegedly pistol whipped. The situation then escalated into gunfire, and the person targeted during the robbery shot Bickerstaff as Bickerstaff sat in the front passenger seat of a car driven by Van Alst. Bickerstaff later died of his injuries. The complaint against Van Alst includes 4 counts: open murder, robbery with a deadly weapon, battery with a deadly weapon during a robbery, and destroying evidence. Another Pahrump resident, 47-year-old Monica Gonzalez, is facing a charge of aiding a felony offender and trying to help get rid of a handgun after the shooting. The person targeted during the robbery could also face either juvenile or adult weapons charges and other potential charges. The investigation continues, and additional charges and defendants could also be added. A preliminary hearing for Van Alst has been scheduled for July 22nd in Justice Court. And one man takes his support of the Black Lives Matter movement to the streets of Pahrump, standing along Highway 160 Sunday with a sign that says it all. And he tells News 25 exactly why he's taking this very public stance.
There's centuries and centuries of issues related to people of color that have been underfocused. You know, you could look at property taxes, look at school systems and the fact that our schools are funded by property taxes. So if you live in a poor area, that lack of income leads to a lesser quality of schools for you. So there are everything from the way in which policing tactics work, inherent biases work, to foundational elements of how our voting systems work, to how our tax systems work that are disadvantaged to people of color. So I think there is a need to put an increased focus on these issues. You know, I don't think anyone is out here saying that there's like a huge issue with white lives, that like they're really being harmed. You know, we really got to put a focus on this. It's just not the situation that we're in. So it's pretty cut and dry, you know, like I think you could ask a 10-year-old and be like, do you think Black Lives Matter? They'd be like, yeah, like it's pretty straightforward. It really is. It's very straightforward.
What motivated you to come out?
I think a lot of people who are motivated to help people of color often live in areas that are super liberal, and especially white people, because it's so easy to do that when you're surrounded by friends and family, people of like-mindedness. But to actually go to places where people will disagree with you is a lot harder. And it's also a lot harder to do that if you're a person of color who may actually feel physically threatened to be out in a place like that. So, you know, it's just like if it matters to you, then it's important to be counted. You know, you may live in an area that votes very blue, you know, and your vote, quote, doesn't matter. But like, it's important to be counted. You know, it's important to like show up and be one of many, to actually just simply be there, even if it doesn't matter. Like, it's enough to just be counted.
And if you'll notice, he was wearing a body camera. That's because Rob says it's for his own protection. He tells News 25 that he's been threatened by several people as he stood on the sidewalk with his Black Lives Matter sign. And meantime, dozens of residents took to the streets to show their support for local law enforcement.
The rally, which was held in support of Nye County law enforcement, was co-organized by Gary Marchinke. He says the event drew more than 100 people to the intersection of Highway 160 and 372 in Pahrump. Many brought with them signs, others brought flags, and some were just there to show their support and wave at people driving by. Several in attendance say they're concerned about the recent attacks on law enforcement officers across the country in the wake of George Floyd's death. Floyd, a black man, died at the hands of police in Minneapolis. Several officers are facing charges in his death, and the incident sparked protests nationwide. A few of those attending the Pahrump rallies say they may not always agree with the actions of individual officers, but they still support law enforcement as a whole.
All right, don't go anywhere. Stay right here with News 25. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back to News 25. Well, President Trump talks trade with some key companies. A growing number of people cannot pay their mortgage, and Allstate pays billions to buy out an insurance rival. That and more in today's financial news.
Here's Angela Miles with today's Business First Brief.
Wrapping our news, President Trump is talking trade. According to CNBC, the president this week met with the leaders of FedEx, UPS, and Intel, along with some other corporations. The talks were focused on cross-border trade between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. Americans are struggling to make house payments. The latest numbers show 32% of homeowners have not been able to come up with a full payment on their mortgage for the month of July. Insurance giant Allstate is paying nearly $4 billion in cash to buy insurance rival National General Holdings. National General Holdings shares surged on Wednesday. Party City investors are celebrating. The company's shares are back above $1, putting it in compliance with trading on the New York Stock Exchange once again.
To find out where you can see us every day, go to businessfirstan.com.
Thanks so much, Angela. Turning back to local news, Nye County is reporting 181 confirmed positive COVID-19 cases. That's up 8 from Wednesday evening's numbers. 7 are inmates in the Sheriff's Office Detention Center in Tonopah. The county has removed the recovered section of their latest graph, stating that they are hard to trace and the staff is overwhelmed at this point. They add that the antibody positives do not count in the county's overall active total. Those who have had tests completed and returned positive in Pahrump are 156. In Tonopah, 11, Amargosa Valley 10, Beatty 4, and 5 antibody tests have been completed and returned positive. So far, we only know of 3 people who have been confirmed deceased from the virus since we started keeping track of it. Chemisys Laboratory through Serenity Health has partnered with Nye County and the Nye County Sheriff's Office to provide a drive-up COVID-19 testing site for Nye County and surrounding communities. Testing in Pahrump is now Monday 7 to 9 p.m., Wednesday and Friday 7 to 9 a.m., and there's no pre-registration required. All you have to do is show up with an insurance card, and if you don't have insurance, you may still be able to get tested. That testing location is Serenity Health at 2280 East Calvada Boulevard. And the Nye County Sheriff's Office says a man who intended to take his own life is now under arrest, facing a felony charge.
Corey Osterman has been booked into the Nye County Detention Center on 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon. On the morning of July 6th, deputies were dispatched to a traffic accident on Gamebird Road near Blag. A witness reported seeing a red SUV traveling westbound in the eastbound lane before swerving out of the way of an oncoming vehicle and spinning out off the roadway. The driver, later identified as Osterman, fled the scene. With the help of an aircraft and pilot, deputies located Osterman in the desert about a half mile from the accident. Officers say Osterman was lying on his back and appeared to be in pain. The sheriff's office says Osterman told deputies he intentionally drove into oncoming traffic in an attempt to end his own life. The sheriff's office says Osterman's actions placed the other driver in substantial danger. Osterman was arrested and transported to Desert View Hospital for treatment, then booked into jail.
All right, now here's a look at news from all across the Silver State with Laura Don.
Nevada has reached another milestone. we're number 2 on the list of the nation's worst drivers. According to data released by Smart Asset Drivers, some states are more irresponsible than in others, so some people may want to exercise additional caution as they hit the road. In its 4th annual study, Smart Asset analyzed metrics including DUI arrests per 1,000 drivers, fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles driven, and the percentage of insured drivers to find the states with the worst drivers. Nevada ranks among the top 10 states nationwide. Mississippi is number 1 on the list, with searches for speeding ticket or traffic ticket coming up over 2 times more often than searches for gasoline. The state also ranks 8th worst for its high number of DUI arrests per 1,000 drivers, as well over 5 times higher. Nevada ranks in the worst half of the study for the number of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles driven at 1.17. Tennessee is number 3, followed by Florida, and at a number 10 is Alaska. For a complete list, go to smartasset.com. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak has designated Nye County in Nevada as a primary natural disaster area due to a recent drought. In accordance with the Consolidated Farm and Rural Development Act, Churchill, Clark, Esmeralda, Eureka, Lander, Lincoln, Mineral, and White Pine Counties, Nevada are named as contiguous disaster counties. The designation makes these counties eligible to be considered for certain assistance from the Farm Service Agency, provided eligibility requirements are met. This assistance includes emergency loans. Small non-farm businesses in the following counties are now eligible to apply for low-interest federal disaster loans from the U.S. Small Business Administration. These loans offset economic losses because of reduced revenues caused by drought that occurred in the following primary counties in Nevada. This covers both the economic impacts on businesses dependent on farmers and ranchers that have suffered agricultural production losses caused by the disasters and businesses directly impacted by the disasters. For more information, go to the Small Business Administration on the web. A report released Tuesday by Las Vegas Realtors shows local home prices breaking their all-time record despite the coronavirus pandemic and economic downturn. Though fewer homes are selling compared to the same time last year, the association reported that the median price of existing single-family homes sold in southern Nevada through its multiple listing service during June was $325,000. That topped the previous record price of $319,000 set in March and is up 6.9% from a median price of $304,000 in June of 2019. Reporting for News 25, I'm Laura Dawn.
Thanks so much, Laura. And we'll be right back here at KPVM, where we like to say that stands for keeping Pahrump and Vegas in mind.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Well, we're starting to learn more about how COVID-19 affects the brain, and reports of neurologic complications are surfacing worldwide. Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Previn George says he's noticed an uptick in the number of COVID-19 patients experiencing delirium.
Some are having this, what we call a hyperactive delirium, where you can get very agitated and you start to have these paranoid delusions. Some of them are having this thing called hypoactive, or where they have these like kind of internalized visions, and then they start to have this very bad confusion.
Dr. George says ICU delirium is not uncommon, especially in older patients and in people who have many medical problems. But research suggests COVID-19 delirium is trending younger. He adds that it's unusual because interventions that typically reduce delirium don't seem to help coronavirus patients much, and some patients are actually arriving at the hospital with complaints of delirium and hallucinations. Sedating medications given in the ICU to relax patients may contribute to delirium because they can have long-lasting effects on receptors in the brain. Doctors also suspect the disease itself may impact brain tissue and cause delirium, but more research is needed to be sure. And early studies suggest some COVID-19 delirium may be linked to prolonged periods of low oxygen in the brain.
The brain is not getting enough oxygen in some of these patients just because of the severe respiratory issues. And for an extended amount of time, that can cause some of the individual brain cells to die. And over time, that death of some of these brain cells could be permanent, and that can cause delirium in itself.
Dr. George says delirium is a little different for everybody and that most people recover. He adds that we're just starting to learn about the long-term consequences of the condition, and it's important for researchers to study people as they recover.
All right, now turning to tech news. If you're using an old computer like me, chances are it's not as fast as it used to be. But why is that? In today's Great Computer Deals quick tutorial, Josh Osborne is offering some insight.
Hi, it's Josh with Pahrumps' own Great Computer Deals. Let's get right into it. It's time for another quick tutorial. Josh's brutal truth, the top reasons why your computer is running slow. Your computer has hardware that is worn out and failing. Time to get it fixed. You have way too many junk programs and security software using up all your valuable computer resources. You expect way too much from a low-end computer. A $300 Walmart laptop won't run high-end software. You're not running a solid-state hard drive. This newer technology allows you to access your data with no moving parts, and it's way faster. You can't get blood from a turnip, folks. It's time for a PC tune-up, fix-up, or a new machine altogether. Why trust a technician when you can trust a friend? Great Computer Deals is located at 1190 East Highway 372. Call us at 775-990-8833.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
All right, it's time now to take a look outside at our lovely weather conditions. It is beautiful, but a bit hot outside. We'll take a closer look at how those temperatures are increasing each and every day right after this break.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hello and welcome back to News 25. I'm Michael Donahue with today's weather. In Las Vegas, we had a high of 107, a low of 78, 113, a low of 82 in Death Valley, 103, 68 in Amargosa, 99, a low of 64 in Beatty, 93 for the high in Goldfield, 91 in Tonopah. Both of those towns have a low of 55 degrees. 88, a low of 51 in Carson City, 95, 53 in Fallon, and 94 with a low of 55 up in Fernley. Now today in Pahrump, we saw sunny skies. Our high today was 102 degrees. Winds coming out of the south-southwest up to 12 miles per hour, 7% for our humidity, and our sunrise at 5:34 this morning. Now for tonight, we're expecting clear skies. Our low is going to be 71 degrees. Winds coming out of the east-southeast up to 9 miles per hour, humidity at 9%, and 8:03 tonight expected for that sunset. Now taking a look ahead to the 7-day, we're really not seeing any major changes in terms of just seeing those sunny skies throughout the week, and we're still going to be dealing with those winds anywhere between 12 to 18 miles per hour all the way through next Thursday. Now temperature-wise, it is still really hot outside. We're going to be expecting a slow climb up to 110 degrees this weekend. Then we're slowly going to start to drop off back down to 103 by next Wednesday and Thursday. Now we're seeing some subtle changes to our overnights. From Friday to Sunday, we're going to be seeing our lows in those low 80s, anywhere between 80 and 83 degrees. Then by next Monday through next Thursday, we're going to be dropping back down to those high to mid 70s, around 75 to 79 degrees there. So now with that, we're going to throw it back to the desk with Unette.
All right, thanks so much, Michael. And we here at News 25 want you all out there to please stay healthy and safe. So remember, the drive-up testing at Serenity Health is tomorrow morning, Friday, from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. And it will be at 2280 East Calvada Boulevard. And people will begin lining up in the Calvada Eye. Please stay healthy and safe and know your status. You can get tested with or without insurance. And so again, if you are feeling any symptoms or if you or a loved one feel that you've been exposed, please go get tested and self-quarantine. Well, that does it for this edition of News 25. I'm Unette Gentry, and from all of us here at KPVM and Ace Country Radio, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you again tomorrow. Good night.